Now we start with the paint and sip, and I teach you some like introduction skills that is quite good to know when doing watercolor. And I will try to show you some of them. The main things we will show is how you equally distribute the watercolor pigments, and also how you create gradients. So now we start the session, and you can start with mixing the colors you want. So what you do, you take like a little bit of paint, and then you mix it up with water. And the main important thing about doing watercolors is that you have to keep adding water to get like a nice finish. And if you have too much paint in it, it would get grainy. So you want a nice equal color. Yes. So what I'll start with is to teach you just the basics, and you always have to think about watercolors as fields. So you have to fill out the whole field. So say you have this rectangular shape, you want to start from the top. Usually we have the watercolor paper tilted slightly to get the water to follow like the gravity. So you start from the top. I'll show you here. So you'll start from the top, and then by letting the tip following the openings, and then you keep adding more paint, not going over the place you have already been, but just simply following. And you would see how under the tip of the brush there's like a little bubble of water, and that's the goal, to use that bubble and lead the paint over the field that you're planning to fill out with the painting. So this is like the most important thing, to get like an equal distribution of paint. And you have, I can show you one thing that most beginners usually is the beginner fail that people do. If you start by painting something like, just a little field, and then you let it dry a little bit, then you will see that you get this weird line. So we just have to wait a bit to see what's happening, because if it's completely dry, you can see it from this point. Here you have, I don't know if you can actually see it, but here, because the paint was laying, I applied a new layer of paint, and then you get this weird line around when you let it dry. So you have the wet in wet principle, where you keep adding water, and then you have the wet and dry, and that you mainly use to add more color and vibrancy to the illustration. So now this has dried. If I now reapply a layer of paint on top of it, so if you see at the tip of the brush, here you get this weird line. So the main thing with watercolor is that you have to plan out what you're going to do. So if you have like one field, this rectangle is what I'm going to fill out. Then that's the most important thing, to just keep adding water and fill out that whole field without going back over the painting, because then you will get these drying lines. And then I will show you like one last trick, which is usually used in windows or the sky, and that's that you create a gradient. So what you do is that you, instead of laying an equal layer of paint each time, like I did now, you start by laying like a thick bubble of paint. Like this. And once you have this thick layer, when you then just add water, not paint, just water, and keep dragging, you will slowly drag down less and less color, and you would see gradients appearing. So you only follow you only follow where the water bubble is, and then slowly walking you downwards, adding more water, and then you will see that the gradient starts to appear. So these are like the basic techniques for doing the watercolors. And you might also want to add shadows, because shadows is what makes the watercolor pop. So to mix the shadows, I think you have got one brownish color and one brown, which you can mix. So the shadows are done in 45 degrees. That's how they're constructed. I mean, it's quite complicated to show you now, but what you'll do is that when you start by laying the colors, and then you add the shadows at last, and then you will see how details pop. And I think that's probably why classical architecture is so unique. It's that you have all these ornaments and moldings that when the sun is cast on it, it creates nice shadows and makes the building more interesting than just a bland surface. So in this case, I would try to add like shadows to this part of the door on the side. Now you see, I actually did something kind of wrong, because the painting wasn't completely dry, and now you see that everything is bleeding. The black color is bleeding into the rest, so you should let it dry completely before you add the shadows. Folk bryr seg.
Vi har gjort et dårlig oppsett, fordi folk ser veldig dårlig og hører veldig dårlig.
Ok, men
Vi har fått fantastiske bilder.
ok, ja, folk.
Det er det viktigste.
Ja,
Så hvis noen
send det videre.
Ja.
Ja. Okay, so if you now take a look at the watercolor painting, you see I've added like this dark shadow on the side. So that's how you do it. You start by applying the colors you want on the elevation, and then you add the shadows in the end. And then you'll see how everything will pop